Most of us view technology as a neutral instrument, a tool that does not change the person using it. In 1954, Martin Heidegger challenged this idea by asking his readers to consider two different ways of encountering a river. He points to a traditional peasant's bridge. It crosses the Rhine, but it lets the river remain a current, a boundary, and a landscape. A hydroelectric plant built into the same river turns the Rhine into a supplier of energy, measuring kilowatt-hours. Heidegger's point was that the dam reveals a specific disposition, one where everything that exists is evaluated only by what it can supply. He called this frame of mind Gestell, or inframing. It is a mindset that precedes any specific device or machine. Under Gestell, the natural world is disclosed as standing reserve, a quantity of energy or material waiting to be used. This diagram shows a river being reduced to quantifiable metrics. Its value is no longer in its beauty or flow, but in its status as a data point. This raises a question for the modern age. What happens if this logic of extraction moves from the riverbank to the human mind? Heidegger suggests the ultimate threat is a shift in perception, where we can no longer encounter ourselves as anything other than material to be optimized. The philosopher Byung-Chul Han traces this shift into our current digital life, where external authorities have largely disappeared. In the 20th century, power worked through prohibition, the factory bell, or the doctor's orders. In a neoliberal society, citizens are instead treated as entrepreneurs of their own value. Han calls this the achievement subject. This is a person who believes they are free because they no longer have a boss giving them orders. Instead, technology provides the infrastructure for self-exploitation. Fitness trackers and productivity apps allow us to monitor our own performance and punish ourselves when we fall short. Digital platforms facilitate this by serving up an endless stream of fragments, optimized to provoke emotion and vanish before reflection can take hold. In Han's view, the modern self is both the prisoner and the guard, maintaining a work camp inside the mind. While Han focuses on the psychological toll, Shoshana Zuboff maps the economic engine that drives this constant self-monitoring. She identifies a resource called behavioral surplus, the data we generate that contains far more information than what is needed to improve a search engine or an app. This surplus is fed into machine learning systems to predict what you will do next, creating a structural asymmetry between you and the companies harvesting your data. These predictions are sold to business customers in behavioral futures markets, turning our private experiences into a commodity. Zuboff calls this instrumentarian power. It doesn't need to crush our will because it makes our behavior so predictable that the concept of free choice effectively dissolves. Through this economic lens, the digital tools we use to manage our lives are the same tools used to refine us into monetized commodities. Evgeny Morozov offers a different perspective, arguing that focusing on technology alone misses the underlying structure of the problem. Morozov views the extraction of behavioral data as the standard operating procedure of capitalism, rather than a new mutation. This timeline shows the history of capital accumulation. When physical land and labor hours are exhausted, the system seeks out new raw materials. The conversion of private experience into a commodity is the logical result of an economic system that must perpetually find new markets. In this reading, the extraction hasn't changed. It has simply moved off the factory floor and into our friendships and our sleep. Choosing between these perspectives determines how we might attempt to reclaim our lives. If the issue is the technology itself, the solution lies in privacy laws, data rights, and strict regulation of tech companies. But if the underlying economic system is the cause, data regulation will never be sufficient, as the system will inevitably find new ways to extract value. We are left with Heidegger's river. We can see it as a landscape to inhabit, or as a resource to be harvested. As you look at the screen in your hand, you have to decide, are you the architect of your digital self, or are you just the river, waiting to be dammed?